And so now it's time for dinner. So we've already fixed some stuff for breakfast and lunch, and now it's time for dinner. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do a very simple spaghetti bake. And I am keeping my recipe simple, but you can definitely, this may be the perfect recipe for you to puree some of those vegetables that our kids don't like to eat and hide them into your sauce. You can definitely replace, I'm using ground beef, but you could use ground pork, you could use ground turkey. Ground turkey is a favorite in our home. We use it for lots of things. We add it into our macaroni and cheese, we add some vegetables. So you could definitely do whatever it is that you would like. And this is, I pre-cooked this ground beef, but it's got a little bit of onion and some garlic in it. And so what we're going to do, we're going to fix our base first. So I'm going to use my, this is not the one I was going to use. Oh, that one. Here we go. Magic of television, it magically appeared. We're going to use this. We want to spray it, so that way it doesn't stick when you bake it. And you could do this, if you do not like aluminum, you could cook or set your freezer meals in glass or metal containers, but they do take up more room in your freezer. And you have to account, if you're using glass casserole dishes, that you don't want to take it from your freezer straight to your hot oven, because then you're going to have a big mess of glass shards everywhere because it will break. So one of the things that we can do also that I'll show you in a minute is how you can build it so you don't even have to necessarily use this, just to form it and freeze it. So you want to spray that. And then what we're going to do is we are going to make our first layer, which includes spaghetti noodles. And I put a little bit of butter in there. I'm going to go off my recipe because I don't have everything memorized. So I'm going to move this over here, and this recipe will also be in the booklet that we'll be sharing with you at the end of this class. So we're going to take our pasta. It's about 8 ounces of spaghetti sauce that we have in here. I threw in some butter. We're going to add just a little bit of salt, about half a teaspoon. We're going to take about 1½ teaspoons of parsley. And you could use fresh, but sometimes in the recipes that you're going to freeze, it's actually better if you use the dried ingredients. So you just use a little bit of parsley, more or less, whatever it is that you like. And then cottage cheese. What's ironic is only 2 of my boys like cottage cheese, and I don't care for cottage cheese, but I love it in anything that I bake that's Italian or any of my pasta dishes. So we're just going to take about 1 cup of cottage cheese. And as you can see, I'm not measuring, so it's okay. It's fail-proof. Can't hurt it. And then 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. And 6 ounces of mozzarella cheese. So it's about 1½ cups. And you could definitely, again, use any kind of cheese that you like, the different flavors you like. You could use more Parmesan cheese, you can use some ricotta cheese, you can use whatever it is that makes you and your family happy. The key about these freezer meals is to bake things that you and your family like and enjoy. And so if you have a dish that is a favorite but you don't make it very often because it's time consuming or whatever, make 2 batches of it and freeze one. And then that way it'll be there already made for you. So we're just going to mix that up a little bit. And we're going to take our dish over here. We're going to put our pasta into it. And you could definitely double or half, depending on your family size. You could also buy, I don't know if anybody has seen the Easy Brownie pan. It has the different portions that you can put in there. You can make your casseroles and then have pre-portioned meals that you could slide into individual Ziploc baggies as well. So if you're a family of a smaller family where you don't need family-sized meals, then that may be a great way for you to go and still prepare ahead of time. And definitely, maybe during deployment, I know when my husband has been deployed, dinner time is very, very hard for me. Dinner time is a very big focus in our family, in that's when we all get together and share the day's events. And so when my husband isn't home, that's when I miss him a lot. It's when there's a big void. And so I have a hard time encouraging myself to cook dinner for my kids. Or if you have really little kids, it can be hard to make dinners that you might enjoy but your kids don't enjoy. So using that brownie pan or making individual portions may be the way for you to go. And these freezer meals were a saving grace for me, because on the days that I was having a hard time figuring out what to make for dinner, just because I didn't want to sit at the table, because that was when I noticed that my husband was going to be gone, I could just pull something out of the freezer, pop it in the oven, and still feel like I was giving my kids something healthy. And so that's our base, our pasta. So then what we're going to do is we're going to make our sauce. Because who doesn't like pasta with some sauce? So we're going to take our pan back. Could really be a one pot dish. We're going to take about 3 cups of spaghetti sauce. And you can make your own spaghetti sauce and freeze it as well. And I'm going to show you that too here in a little bit. So we're going to take, I actually use a little bit more. This is a recipe that we use just when we make it fresh and pop it in the oven. But when I'm making freezer meals and it comes with something that has sauce or it has noodles, I try to use a little bit more sauce so that way it doesn't dry out while it's thawing out and rebaking. So we're going to put our sauce in there. We're going to add just a little bit of our meat that we talked about. It has a little bit of onion, a little bit of garlic in there. And this is actually not even a whole pound of meat. You could definitely use turkey, pork, whatever. This is 93% lean hamburger meat. One of the things that you can do when you buy hamburger meat is buy it in large portions and pre-cook it and put it in Ziploc baggies and keep it in your freezer to pull out whenever. So don't be afraid to get the best deal for your buck when there's large portions, because you can definitely utilize it in many different ways. So we add our meat. And then we're going to add just a little bit of sugar, because that helps to cut the acid down just a little bit and sweeten it so it's not as tart. And about 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning. And you could certainly play with whatever seasonings that you like. I usually like to throw in a little bit of hot shot, which is red and black pepper. Makes it a little bit spicy for us, and we happen to like that. So there's your sauce. And because you're going to bake it, it's still going to have that opportunity to meld all the flavors together. So you can heat it on the stove if you want to blend before you put it on, or you don't have to. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to layer that on top. Of course, I can't ever put anything that doesn't have red sauce without splattering and making a huge mess. So that's normal if that happens in your kitchen. So we're going to put this up here. And then, just to top it off, we're going to go ahead and put a little bit more cheese. And I kind of like to put my mozzarella. It doesn't have to go all over unless you like super cheesy. And then I like to sprinkle just a little bit more of this fresh Parmesan on there. And there you have a great meal, spaghetti bake. You can put it in your freezer. I would line it with some tin foil, or you can even slide it in a freezer bag and put it in there, making sure to label it like we talked about earlier. And then you can also freeze bread, and there's some recipes for you on how to freeze your bread with directions. And so you could really just pull everything out of the freezer, pop it in the oven for 20 to 30 minutes, and you'll have a home-cooked meal.